No.
You're not. Well, I'm starting.
Oh, we started?
We started.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Corey.
And I'm Woody.
And I'm Ray.
This is the ISOcast.
And that's it.
I'm drinking way less, like unbelievably less, like maybe 2 or 3 times last month. I had one or 2 beers. Yeah.
Good. Congratulations.
I'm sparkling water guy, like all the time.
Is that a Perrier?
This one is. I also have a fridge full of San Pellegrino. Welcome to the podcast, Ray.
Hello.
Hello.
It's been a while.
Has it?
Never on this one, but it's
how can we tell? It's on this one. This is your first appearance.
That's right. It's my virgin voyage.
We'll bust you good. You and I have known each other as humans too long, right? Like kindergarten.
Yeah. Well,
kindergarten.
No. My God. Grade 6.
What?
Grade 6. We met doing that video TV shoot for Go Productions.
Okay, so to give you some...
Ning. Was it?
Here's the... Okay.
You did a TV shoot in grade 6?
Yeah.
Yep. TV shooting grade 6.
Okay, I don't want to get into but I thought about this the other day. I do not know how to properly pronounce the name NG. I don't know. I don't know if it's... I've heard na, I've heard ning, I've heard ng. I don't know. So...
All right. Well, we'll leave it out.
Okay, it's out there. If the listeners want to get back to us with any feedback, and please don't be that guy, give us some honest feedback on how that's pronounced. That'd be great. But I thought it was like way back in grade 6. Did you just arrive from somewhere else?
Yeah, well, my schools amalgamated and borders changed.
Okay.
So I went to Eastdale. Oh,
right.
Then I went to Central.
Yep.
And I was Ray Titney in the newspaper.
Really?
The listable banner. Yep. Titney.
Live that down. That just haunts you forever as a kid.
That's right.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was the gerrymandering of the listable school districts. Is that what that was?
I suppose.
It's changed once again. So
okay. Well, grade 6. That sounds about right. Yeah. Because this is going pretty deep into the rat hole, Woody, but I had a Casio SK1 keyboard, and Ray, of course, is a phenomenal drummer, and I at that time was under the impression that I was a pretty good guitar player. So we had Jay play keyboards, I played guitar, and he played drums, and we did a television appearance. And Ray and I have been in one form or another, professionally or just personally, making music together ever since.
Wow.
Off and on.
Is
that the name of the band, or is that?
No,
good name. I like that. Off and on.
In and out.
And
up and down.
Yeah.
Album names. So all around.
To give the listeners some context who don't know who you are, Ray. I don't know how much you want to divulge in this podcast. We're pretty open about everything because we're just weird that way. But
how many listeners do you have to worry about?
7. Mm-hmm. And my dad and 7.
And we're 2 of them. We listened. So
we listen to the show. I download it on multiple devices all over the place. So there might only be just us and my dad, honestly.
Well, your dad and I have had a challenging past at times, so...
Well, my dad and everyone have had a challenging past. Wow. There's only I can count on one hand the number of friends that my dad's like, I like that guy, everybody else, there's something, but it's good. It's like, it's a father-daughter thing. Maybe he's just protecting me.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
Does your dad get along with all your friends? Was that ever a problem for you?
Never a problem. No, I don't know if he's not like chummy. I don't know if that's fair, but yeah, I never had an issue with it.
Okay.
My father was like Archie Bunker,
Oh, he was. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He was that guy. Yeah. He was totally that guy.
Yeah. So,
have you seen I Love You, Man? The name of the movie?
No.
No. Sounds like the premise. Paul Rudd plays a guy who's getting married and he doesn't have any friends, and he has to go on mandates to find a best man for the wedding because he doesn't have any friends. And his dad makes fun, but his dad only has one friend. His name is Hank Mardukas. That's the joke running through the movie. His name is Hank Mardukas. So that's a movie that would reminded me of that. You got to watch that. I Love You, Man.
Okay. Well, it's on the list now.
Okay.
We watched School of Rock last night. That's how bored we are.
Oof.
But not to go astray here, Ray. So I don't know if you want to tell people where you are. Like,
I am in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada.
And that's a place for those of you in the United States. That's
mixed in with Kitchener and Cambridge in a tri-state area.
Yeah.
Tri-state. But I'm making it sound American.
I saw, this is an aside, but just for the American listeners, I saw it again where somebody was being interviewed, a great drummer, Larnell Lewis actually was being interviewed. And the guy from the interview is like, we got Larnell from Toronto, Canada, right there by Vancouver. And it's good to talk to. And it's like, oh man, stop that. Just because you know two places and then you forget there's also Montreal. As an American, stop saying that they're close together. They're not. Like, get a map, read a book,
read a map.
America. Anyways, what's the COVID situation in Waterloo?
Well, I work in retail, so it's a little bit weird dealing with COVID in the retail area. We've moved to sidewalk service, so I'm just like a glorified picker. Go grab what you need, set it aside, take your money over the phone.
Yep. Call
me when you get to the front and we'll bring you your stuff. So it's been a bit of a challenge when we were open dealing with the anti-maskers and all those people. And we still have to deal with them outside because they have to keep a certain amount of feet away from us while we try to get their stuff to a table. And then they want to ask us questions and almost do a whole sales pitch outside in our sweaters. So
in at what temperature too, right? It's
right
winter.
Now it's getting cold. So
yeah. Jeez.
It's one thing to go to Walmart and they throw it in the trunk of your car. It's another to be standing there doing sales and support for, I don't know if you want to talk about where you work, but
no, not exactly. But there's always the turkey that goes, well, how am I supposed to try that out? I want to buy that thing. I got to try it. Everybody tries it, right? Why can't I come into the store? That's just what it's like. And
wow.
Oh no!
Get that over. Are you guys open? Yes, we're doing sidewalk service. So I can't come in. No, we're doing sidewalk service.
Right.
So what do you need? Well, I don't know.
They want to browse.
So the browser history of life is gone, and you're going to have to do this through the interwebs.
Yeah, for now. And I mean, I think we're all a little tired of online shopping, honestly.
Yep.
We're about to come out of, maybe, it depends, because we just change every other day. We might be opening up retail again tomorrow. That's the rumor. I've been getting emails from retailers saying tomorrow retailers are going to open back up again, but the curfew stays, right? Because that works.
Right.
Well, wasn't your curfew extended in Quebec to be?
Yeah, well, there never is an end to what they say they're doing. When they say we're going to do this until this date, you can just omit the until this date part of it. Every time they make an announcement, they're just going to do this. Okay. I think potentially in the region in which I live, the curfew might go to 9:30.
That's what I heard on the national news there.
Which would be boss. Like,
what is it now?
8.
Oh,
8.
Yeah.
8, and the tanks start coming out. And
so you're getting older. You're like 13 right now, and you're going to be 15, I guess. Is that
when the street lights come on? Go home.
Ray!
Yeah.
Ray!
Dude, it's brutal. But, we're making it work. Okay, so to get this then, because I've done this before, right? I've done some curbside pickup. I don't love it, but it's not, at least nobody's dying. But yours is the type of retail store where one really does like to go in and just kind of see what's up.
Yeah, mess everything up that we do in a day. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because some places, like, I don't want to go to the jean store. I think that's where you buy jeans. I don't want to go to their online jean site, and I want to go to the jean store and look at the jeans and put the jeans on, buy the jeans, So some things are just like
how tight fitting they are.
Right. It's just not functional. It doesn't work. So I understand how frustrating that must be for customers.
Yeah. Other than that, my life hasn't changed. I get up, I go to work. Now I've played the other side of the game where I collected CERB for the first round, being a diabetic and all of that sort of stuff, medically to be concerned, because I didn't know what exactly was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seems that it's going to get possibly worse if we're not careful. And now I can't hide. So I just have to deal with the guidelines set out and hope that the health people are right. That can never make up their mind. So.
Yeah, there's no clear messaging. I had a conversation this week with a gentleman in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and they're living on a different planet over there. 30% of them have been inoculated. Their hospitalization rate's down 30%. They're expecting now the death rate's about to plummet. They kind of got their S together, but the thing that was interesting about him, he said, no different than any other place on earth, there's going to be pockets of different faiths and beliefs and systems that will be difficult to get people to get on board, period. Right. He's like, we'll never get 100% of the people vaccinated. And we're now in a place here in Canada where I think the hard reality is we're not going to get to herd immunity until about mid 2022.
Yeah, we're in this for the long haul. I'm preparing for a long winter, right? Even over the summer, if you want to look at it that way.
The summer will be another long winter.
Right. Just stay in your bloody hole and stay out of the way, right?
Like the old Game of Thrones winter's coming type of thing, except winter's here and it's not going away for a bit.
The more we hide and shop online right now, the safer we'll be. But it's going to be a glorious time when we all get to go out, right? Like it's going to bring back new meaning. And maybe the world does need to slow down right now, to be honest with you, right? Like all the people that now are at home, not focused on work all the time, and now are taking the time out to be with their family because that's sort of an important thing, right? It's sort of been overlooked. And now you hear some of the parents with kids going, oh my God, I don't know how to deal with my kids. Well, you should have been a little bit more active and hopefully dealing with your kids at that point in time, right? Now, everybody's scenario is different, and that I totally understand, but it's sort of nice that you get to sit back and see people get together more in a meaningful way.
Well, there's the upsides, right? There's always a silver lining. And I think that there's so much to unpack there because like, I know you're not, I don't want to get down on parents who are like, I want to send my children away because I've met children and I also sometimes want to just send them away for a day because I just can't. And at the same time, even here, having the luxury of babysitting from time to time and still working from home and having a 3-year-old run around, that kid's in a lot of Zoom meetings, man. And she doesn't have homework yet. So I can only imagine if you got 2 of them or 3 of them hanging off you, a dog and your husband is a bit of a jerk and you didn't realize it until you were homebound for a year. It's a lot, especially if maybe you unfortunately didn't have a job during this period because you got furloughed or, it's tough stuff, man. But I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I'm thinking like, what are you in ground zero in Canada again?
I guess so. Like you're talking about the rules where you guys are living, and I honestly couldn't tell you what they are here. Absolutely no idea. They change all the time, and it's even if like I stopped following kind of because I'm just staying home and whatever. But even if I wanted to be up on it, I think it'd be really hard to follow. They got airport testing now at Pearson, but they don't. There's fines for this. There's $2,000 hotel fees if you're coming in. We're supposed to be on lockdown until the 28th of January, but now we still are. But I don't know when it's ending. Likely won't be ending. Probably shouldn't end, but they have these dates that don't mean anything. So I don't know.
Well, that's because people need jobs, right? So they're trying to keep the economy afloat as well, right? It's a hard balance.
it's impossible. And they're not doing a good job of it, but all the criticism maybe isn't 100% warranted. I don't think I could do better, but they haven't done a good job either.
Yeah, very well. That's why I sit at work and do my little picking job and bring them their little packages and put it on the table and say, have a nice day, right? So
that's what the man wants you to do, Ray.
Yeah, well, that's right.
This is just their way of doing it.
Making you buckle down.
We've all entered the burnout phase at the same time. Right. We've gone through the ebbs and flows of the first 6 months and whatever. And now we're still here. And then there was a peak where, the vaccine exists. This is great. And now we're in but Canada doesn't manufacture it. Therefore, Canada doesn't have access to it first. So now we're kind of back down in the valley again. And we'll come back up again probably in April when, I don't know, something else happens. But we're kind of all in the burnout phase together, I think.
Yeah. I'm with you too. I don't think it's easy to criticize things that aren't being well done, and we're right to criticize. But you can't also expect everyone to come up with an answer. I'm following some of the Canadian political discourse, and the Jagmeet Singh and the Aaron O'Toole's or whatever. They're certainly, because they are the actual literal opposition. It is their job to call out the government, and it's not their job to present solutions. Funny enough, because a lot of folks are like, hey, right. Well, then what would you do? And it's like, elect me. I'll tell you, and I'll run on that. But
just wait and see.
Yeah, that's a cop out, though. You can't just say that.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, it is not the NDP's job to come up with a plan and a strategy. It is their job to work with the Liberal government to oppose some of these ideas in order to strike a balance and give it some perspective in their policy. But look, and everybody can fairly criticize. The more I've dug into what is the COVAX thing and what is really kind of up with this vaccine thing in Canada, and it's like, you know what, Canada kind of did blow some shit here. That's I get now. I'm like, wait a minute, there's a legitimate concern, but again, perspective taking. If we fly back up to 60,000 feet and look down, we go, it's only the first week in February, people.
Right. Like the instant gratification phenomena, right?
We're acting like for the last 10 months, the Trudeau government's been blowing it. And it's like, no, there's been some stumbles in the last couple of weeks and days. Like, slow down, people.
And like, at least in Ontario, phase 1 was supposed to be long-term care residents and the next, healthcare workers, basically, right? As far as I know, they've been doing that. So it wasn't supposed to be, let's get all the people vaccinated at once. So there's been stumbling blocks and it hasn't been smooth. But they're moving forward with what they kind of said they would do, more or less anyway. So,
well, they're always saying, like Justin, in all of his locks and love, is saying, we're on target. And I believe that's the case. I don't care how we get to the end goal, as long as we agree and we get to the end goal. And, Montreal, I'm pretty impressed. We saw some of the first inoculations were not in just long-term homes, long-term care homes. I had a little seizure there. We don't add it. But the homeless population and the Northern Indigenous populations, it's like, okay, you know what? That's right. That's the way that this has to begin. And then going to frontline healthcare workers. And I saw someone say to the people who don't really buy into a lot of this, and like, I don't know if I'm going to get vaccinated. A doctor said it beautifully. So that's fine. Get in the back of the line. we don't need you. There's a lot of people up front who need this. So
right.
If you don't want it, that's cool. Just go wait. Yeah.
Well said.
Do you fall into a tier, right? Is there I don't know what it's like there. Like my parents, they're under the impression at a certain age that they're going to get a vaccine within a certain time frame or some phase system. I can't follow the infographics anymore. I don't know what the hell's happening.
I haven't really paid that much close attention other than what the news is saying, and how much of that is what's on target of being correct or not is another thing, right? So
right.
I sort of like to watch their numbers for our local area of being 75 with COVID, blah, 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 right? And the Ontario numbers are interesting to watch. I giggle at the American numbers that they can't try to control them in any sort of way. It's not funny, right? But it's just like,
they don't try.
I'm glad we're not in their situation, right? You know,
it's the tragic funny. Yeah,
I had a friend that flew to Las Vegas and says, "Oh, I got COVID," and well, how do you feel? Right? Are you surprised? Right? You know, it's your own fault for wanting to go to Vegas and gamble for whatever reason in the middle of the pandemic, right? So
the sad degree of
I don't understand people's choices. That's all. Right.
Separation in the U.S. has penetrated first degree, right? I used to be talking to people and clients and colleagues that were like, oh, you know, I know somebody who got COVID. And then it's now like, I know someone directly who died. Like that's where it's gone now in a lot of these conversations, you know, or I have it or I had it. It's like, it's hardcore everywhere. So even the folks that are like, you know, it's like, I don't know if this is such a big deal, are attending funerals, and sadly. And they're like, oh, and that's pretty hard when this is how directly it has to impact you. In some cases, certainly not the majority, but in some cases that you start going, maybe I should just put the mask on. You know?
I have a feeling at times it's closer than people think because they're standing there going, well, I'm not going to tell somebody I got COVID because they're going to treat me like, you know, I don't belong to the party, right? You know, so people go around not sharing, not using the government app, yada, 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 right? And not taking precautions either, right? Because they don't want to be, well, where were you for 14 days or 2 weeks, right? You know, so
sure.
Well, were you hiding or did you have COVID, right? You know, like
off the grid.
Yeah, it's like living in our old small town again in the world of rumors, right? So
the messaging in the States is just very
as the
different.
COVID turns, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a show title.
I mean, today is the Super Bowl, and there's going to be 25,000 people in the stadium.
I feel sorry for those cutouts, right? You know,
so the messaging is just widely different. At least in Canada, more or less, it's been treated as a serious thing. Whereas, you know, I
did hear that those people that are at that are health workers being rewarded for their hard work, and they're all people that have been vaccinated as well. So maybe the other half of the arena is not, but so it's going to see. Maybe it's a big test.
It could be.
You know, they're gonna test Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, everyone's vaccinated. They're gonna turn
everybody get your tinfoil hat out now.
The 5G is gonna turn turned on.
Here we go. Right, it started here. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Activate
all
the 5G.
7 of you.
So.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just hoping the weekend is vaccinated. That's all I care about.
Exactly. Right, Corey and I talks about how COVID needs a PR firm.
Yes.
And
I think the government does have a PR firm that's out there spinning that, right? You know, I just saw vaccine commercials on the tube, right? You know, and then in the news, the same minute, they're like, "Oh, we have not enough vaccines for people to keep up, and we've closed some of the clinics around in our local area. Check your local area for your local listings of closed clinics." Right? You know, it's like.
Well, I think the vaccine needs a PR firm too, because there's a few really good doctors on Twitter who provide lots of information if you're willing to dissect it and read it. But essentially, the vaccine doesn't prevent you from contracting COVID. It prevents you from getting sick when you get it, like other vaccines. So you can still give it to other people who have not been inoculated. So that needs to be, like, no pun intended, spread around, I think, more.
Right.
More
strongly. Need to get a nurse on here and give out her information, right? You know. So
it's very hard, though, in the middle of a pandemic where we're under all of these restrictions to say to people reasonably and expect them to respond reasonably, COVID is with us forever. Okay. This is not like, oh, it's going to go away. It's HIV. It's a flu. It's measles. It's a virus that now exists in our ecosystem that will have to be managed. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard, I think, in the middle of all of this to imagine managing this when it's been so hard to just get slow spread.
We're just getting on top of the basic version of COVID-19, and we're at like 0.3 in two different directions, right?
But we're going to get to a place where, like HIV, we now can manage this disease to a degree. And it took a long time to get there, and the science moves a lot faster than it ever did. And fortunately with COVID, there's no homophobia attached to it. So it makes it a little easier to manage, at least from the PR perspective. Yeah. It's not like Jesus gave you COVID.
Well, maybe it'll be genetic. You never know.
Mm-hmm. I've got vid.
The other reality, though, and again, this goes back to the instant gratification and just, I understand in a crisis, people want answers, but trials are still happening for this vaccine. It was just invented 8 weeks ago.
Right.
Does it last forever? Well, it's impossible to answer that question because it's only existed for 2 months. So every month that it exists is another month from the very first trial that it's still working. But, the bad answer is it will take years to find out really how it works. But for now, it seems to be okay.
For now, yes. I hope there's no real long-term effects that your children's children end up missing a limb or something because of this.
Yeah.
No.
There's no such thing, though, with a vaccine, because that's the thing, is that there are no long-term effects because the immunity is built once. And then that's it. Nothing else happens. Like it's no longer in your system. There just are no long. If anything's going to happen in a vaccination, it happens within the first 30 days. And if nothing happens within 30 days, nothing's going to happen, right? So there's kind of a myth around.
Well, the question that people are asking now is does it work against the variant, whatever? I forget the name of what it's called, but that one. And so far, it's working. But that's just came out, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, right? Where they discovered that. So,
but the beauty of an mRNA vaccine is that you can very quickly modify the vaccine. That's the other thing. It's modular. You can really change it to adapt to the variants. So it's a pretty powerful tool that we have against this. I'm wondering, on the social and political level, I understand in Ontario, in order to slow the spread or discourage traveling, there's talk about canceling spring break so that people don't travel. Does that sound like the right thing to do? Just to say, teachers, hey, I know, but we're going to cancel spring break. So just keep on teaching.
I heard that. I don't know what that means.
They've got to get through going back to school, which is starting to happen this week in Ontario, and they're going back to the coded level of color codes and such soon.
Does that maybe mean then kids just don't go back home for a week?
I think so, but I'm guessing.
Can't we just take a break for a week? What's wrong with that? Why couldn't we just go all fucking Europe on it and say, you know what? We're going to take a week off from work and school and stuff and just toboggan and shit because we need to break from all of this insanity. Why can't maybe canceling or making international travel difficult? Sure, I get that, but don't love it. I get it. But to say philosophically, the break that you've looked forward to this winter is canceled doesn't feel good to me. This PR firm sucks.
I don't see why they would need to cancel that at all. It doesn't make any sense. I mean,
no.
Okay, well, we'll follow that closely. But I know in Quebec, it'll be the same thing. They were we have to have a moral contract with our people, and we're going to cancel spring break. And if you take a break during this time, we're going to fine you $6,000. That's what's going to happen here. It'll be ridiculous. Are you on break? It's no. It's are you sure? I'm going to give you a ticket anyway. You look like you're on break.
I don't think it applies to this because the break is in the middle of March, so still another month or a bit away. But I know they're trying, I heard they're trying to gather data on the spread, if and how much within schools. So they're trying to get schools back during a lockdown so that they can run data later. I don't think that means anything for the break, but I think I've read that somewhere.
I'm going to put a Twitter link in the show notes of someone who I follow who is very well-versed in this area and has all the data on the spread in schools. And There's a lot that the government just is not going to they're just not going to tell you. It's totally being spread through schools and totally being brought home and totally infecting people. And it's totally a source of spread.
It has to be.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. But what do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet with a microphone.
Yes, you are.
You going to be okay, Ray?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm great. I have a job. I'm going to work. You know, I'm able to eat.
Yeah.
I have a wife, you know, right? So I have cable, I have internet, right? You know, I have nothing to complain about because I like to be at home anyways, right? I'm another homebody who likes to try to find things to do and look at my fish and pet my cats, right? You know, so.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I've got my own little world.
And you have a microphone too.
And a bunch of microphones. Yeah, that's right.
Oh. How are you doing? You okay, Woody?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Same reasons as Ray said. I got cable and internet too. So it's all good.
Getting by.
Getting by.
Okay. Well, I'm Corey.
And I'm Woody.
And I'm Ray.
This has been the ISOcast.